Maschinenpistole 5, or rather, the MP5. A compact 1960s German design that became massively influential. You'll see it with the military, intelligence forces, and law enforcement. Over 40 nations have adopted the submachine gun, and real-life heroics with the weapon during a 1980s hostage rescue in London cemented this weapon's legacy and role. And of course, it's seen more than its fair share of silver screen time and video game adaptations. It's incredibly versatile, widely used, and instantly recognizable. So we've brought in the pros to bring us their thoughts on the MP5 on today's esports armor. Your mileage may vary with the MP5 depending on which game you're talking about. In CSGO, the MP5 is not a wildly popular choice for pros, but still holds a place in the lineup due to its identity as a counter-terrorist weapon. But in Valorant, the MP5 style offering is called the Spectre, a mashup of the MP5, MPX, and G36, and it remains a choice weapon for light-buy rounds. Competitive Call of Duty and RAINBOW6 Siege is where the classic design generally shines. While 2021 saw Call of Duty pros pick the AK-74U over the MP5, it did see ample use in the Modern Warfare 2020 season. It was snappy, fast-firing, easy to control, and great for many of the situations players would find themselves in. For Siege, the MP5 and its variant, the MP5K, is found only on the Defender side. Once upon a time, Doc and Rook were top-tier picks due to the MP5 utilizing an ACOG. Now, while they're still popular in pubs, they aren't seen as often in pro play, now that the ACOG is gone. So let's throw it over to the pros and get their insight on the MP5 and the Spectre.
My favorite thing about the MP5 was probably being the scouter. It was always fun to go and jump and hop through corners, clearing it to see if the enemy team is saving or really just gaining ground with my MP5. And the best thing about it as well is it's a spray down gun. So you're probably able to kill multiple opponents when you're stuck in a situation where there's a lot of people there.
I honestly forgot the MP5 was in CSGO for a long time. I know I got added really late, but I think it was just a worse version of the MP7. If I could be wrong, but I want to say it was just like a mirror of another SMG and it was just worse. So I think that's why people tended not to use it, because the cheaper alternatives were just stronger, the UMP and the MP9.
Oh my god, we're twisted. Yeah, the MP5 was the main SMG in Modern Warfare. We used it throughout the whole season pretty much, and it was just amazing. Felt like it was really fun to just run around with that gun, challenge everything, take some routes here and there to try and get spawns for your team and all that. And going into this game, at the beginning of the game actually, a lot of people were starting to use the MP5 and it was looking like it's going to be the best gun, but then it got nerfed a couple times and the AK-74U became like the best SMG to use. So the MP5 is in Black Ops Cold War, but it's not the main SMG that the pro players are using in the CoD League. Oh, that guy was hitting me.
Connecting a player with the MP5 for Modern Warfare, it's got to be Simp for me. I think he was the best player in Modern Warfare, and what he was doing with that gun was insane. You know, that gun was very good, but Simp was just a different beast. Like the whole year, he was putting up the most insane stats with it, and just watching him use it, it was almost like art in motion. He was so unique with it and how he kind of attacked with the MP5. So it's got to be him for me.
When I hear the word Spectre, first thing that comes to mind is run and gun, baby. Run and gun. The Spectre feels like the perfect in-between. So if you win the pistol, oftentimes you're going to have additional credits to really lean into that advantage, and you often go Spectre light armor or something like that. But that's really the first point in the game that allows you to bring a Spectre into the fold. Now, the Spectre's good, but it's good in its right setting, right? Like the Spectre is good at a certain thing, and I think that's what makes the weapon so wonderful, is that it understands where it excels. It understands it's a budget Phantom in a lot of ways. You can still spray transfer really well. You can still control the spray pattern, which you can't say about some of the other weapons like the Vandal, and you get it at a budget price. So the Spectre's good, right? But again, it's good in the right settings. It's good in the right hands. But if you had to choose, obviously the Phantom, the Vandal, any of those weapons are preferred.
Oh, the Spectre's incredible. That gun's insane. There's not much that it can't do. I guess it's not super insane at killing across the map. and I think the Spectre's in a really, really good spot.
There is on the Spectre, there's a real gun called MPX from SIG, and we were inspired at least by that mechanism because it's the same that you see on AR-15, which is on a smaller weapon. So it kind of checks out for that real world counterpart that someone's not going to look at it and be like, oh, this is a rifle. It also has the collapsing stock, right, which is something that SMGs do, and then we were able to kind of use that readability of the Phantom and the Spectre in game. People were confusing them when they were on the ground, and so when the Spectre is on the ground, we actually close the stock just to make it a smaller profile, just so that players can actually understand this is even though they both have silencers, this is an SMG versus a rifle.
The Spectre is like my eco round buy, maybe with some light armor. It's really great on round 2 when I can just gun down 3 people if I control my spray really well. The Spectre, it's nice that it's silenced, but it's a great eco buy.
While it doesn't pack the biggest punch, there's no denying the MP5 is a popular weapon that can be adapted to suit the need of the user. Retractable stock? The MP5A3. Silencer? The MP5 SD. So let's bring in our military expert Hugh Daly to further break down the MP5.
My name's Hugh Daly. I'm a military technical advisor to films, television, and video games.
The MP5, most recognized German post-war weapon, the ultimate submachine gun used by armies all over the world and a lot of special forces as well. Probably one of the greatest small arms ever created because of the variation that have come off it, almost 100 variants. In the post-World War II era, after the end of the Second World War, with the Soviets, they're producing their AK-47. Americans are working on their AR-15, M16, and the Germans also got into the race as well, because modern armies need modern weapons, and NATO had standardized the 9mm parabellum round. So the Germans, in this case Heckler&Koch, created a submachine gun.
One of the more famous aspects of the MP5 is widely known as the HK slap, and yes, it's actually the recommended way to finish loading your weapon.
So one of the most unique features of the MP5 is the way it's cocked. It cocks back into a lug and holds there. Quite unusual for a submachine gun. If you actually try to physically force it forwards, you're going to jam the weapon and it will not chamber around properly and it won't fire. So it's important, and you see it in real life, in films, in video games. Slap it forward, do it like you mean it. The role of the MP5, the variations allow for different weapon systems to be used for specific tasks. This particular one is designed to have a silencer screwed in and fitted here so that the weapon would be about that much longer, but would also be completely suppressed.
While the MP5 was a solid weapon of choice when it debuted, it became an icon in 1980. 6 gunmen took hostages at the Iranian embassy in London, and on the 6th day, the SAS, armed with MP5s, were called in for Operation Nimrod.
On the 5th of May, 1980, SAS assaulters attacked and successfully took down 6 terrorists inside the Iranian embassy in Princess Gate, London. If you've seen the film 6 Days, it perfectly illustrates exactly the professionalism and the skill that these men brought to bear. But because these weapons were seen on live TV around the world, everybody asked, what are those weapons they're carrying? They weren't British weapons, so they were quite unique and unusual. And that's when the HK's legend began.
Customizable, recognizable, variable. Across gaming and pop culture, the MP5 is renowned for its ability to answer the call for most situations. Tight corridors? No problem. Silent ops? Can do. Need to frag out on a light buy round? Go ballistic. No matter your style of gaming, you're sure to find an MP5 variant that suits your fancy.